Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, my name is Jennifer. I'm a watercolor artist and I love to share tutorials with all of you, usually involving greeting cards. And today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to make these ornament greeting cards. And to do so, I'm starting with a little bowl. So I've picked out a bowl that's going to help me make my round shape for my ornament. And I've just picked out a bowl that's just the right size for my piece of paper here. So definitely do a couple tests on some draft paper to make sure you have the size that makes you happy. And what I'm doing is I'm just using a nice blue color because I'm going to make that blue, kind of midnight blue colored ornament. And what I've done is I've just painted the side of my ornament here. Not my ornament, my bowl, of course, my bowl, with that color, like so. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and tip this over, try to get about the middle point of my piece of paper, give it a good press. And there you go. So that's my round shape here. And then I'm gonna take my brush and fairly quickly, while it's still wet, I'm just going to kind of fill that color. And what that does is it just kind of helps give you that initial perfectly round shape. I mean, I say perfectly round. It doesn't actually have to be perfectly round, but round enough that you'll definitely get the sense that this is an ornament. And then I can kind of swish my paintbrush around like so to get the color towards the center and try not to get too much of that kind of perfect line where my bowl kind of made the initial circle, like so. And then I can go in and kind of finesse. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more blue. Let's see. I'm going to go in with a little bit more blue and create just a little bit of shadow and kind of a darker hue, because what I'm going to do for this ornament today is I'm going to actually use some gold color over top. And in order to really see those kind of gold detailings, you want to have kind of a darker tone because that just makes it easier to see the gold. So I'm just going to kind of travel my paint here. I like to leave the center of the ornament kind of maybe where the light would shine through it. I like to leave that a little bit wider, and then I like to do kind of a darker hue on the sides like so. Let me just fix this line a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty nice. What do we think? I actually really like this color. I don't usually paint with midnight blue all that much, but something about the midnight blue and a pretty gold on top is really a color that I'm quite into at the moment. So I thought I would explore it with you today. So for now, I think this might look a little bit like the earth. But you'll see, I think as soon as I start shaping it into my ornament, you will see that it will start to look exactly like those beautiful baubles on a Christmas tree. Here we go. So I'm just about ready. I think that looks pretty nice. And then what you're going to want to do is make sure that this completely dries before you go ahead and start painting with gold, because if you're not very patient and start putting some of your gold kind of accents and detailing before this is completely dry, then you'll see you're really going to struggle to get a perfectly gold color. It's all going to kind of mix and not look very pristine. So you definitely do have to wait till it completely dries. All right, here we go. I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So what I will do is I will go get my trusty hairdryer and I will blow dry this piece of artwork here so that it dries quicker than just air dry. Of course, you can just let it air dry, but that's a nice little trick if you're a little bit in a hurry like I am today. So I'll go get the hairdryer and then I'll meet you right back here when this is nice and dry. Okay, I am back, and what I'm going to move on to now is, I was using a size 8 brush before, but I'm going to move on to this size 1 Cotman Winsor Newton brush, just a simple kind of detailing brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into some black paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint kind of the top of that ornament, the kind of hardware part, top of that ornament. And you'll see it will move from being kind of a aimless circle to looking like an actual ornament that you would want to hang onto a tree. So I'm using a pretty, I'm sorry, there is construction outside. There's been construction on our street for weeks and weeks, so it's very hard to film without getting it. So if you're hearing a little bit of commotion outside, that's what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and paint my ornament top. If anyone knows the name for what this is called, the kind of hardware piece on top, please tell me, because that's what I keep calling it, hardware piece, and I'm sure there's a sexier term out there for that, and I don't know what it is. So what I do is I just kind of pick my top point where my kind of ornament would be standing up straight, and then I add 2 little lines like so, and then I kind of close off those lines, so it's basically making kind of a rectangular shape like so. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I do sometimes a little bit of a wobbly line underneath. You know, it has kind of that kind of very slight scalloping that kind of helps the hardware attach to the metal ornament. It's very slight, and then I'll just fill that in like so. So you could do this whatever color you want, of course, but I think the black looks kind of nice. Here we go. Just make sure that you have a nice kind of uniform color. There we go, like so. And then what I'll do is I'll do kind of the little hoop on top where you would maybe lace in your string or your ribbon to attach that ornament. So you just want to try to be as steady as you can for this, and just kind of create that shape. And there we go. Okay, I think I can let that dry, but while it's drying, I can go ahead and start on my gold detailing. So I'm going to use the same brush, so this number 1 brush, and I'm going to move on to my gold paint, which is this one right here. I'll put all the details down below, but it's this one right here that I like to use. And I'll show you what that looks like on top of the bloom. This might be a nice time to share this as I'm kind of mixing my gold in. That if you like this kind of video, please leave me a comment and subscribe to let me know that you're here and watching and that you would like more of these kinds of videos. It's just a nice way to let me know that you're watching. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush here into the gold. And you really want to kind of load your brush with a lot of color. This is not a time to use a lot of water. I mean, you use water obviously to get the paint kind of going, but you do want to make sure that your brush is really, really loaded so that you get a nice kind of uniform, stronger color over top. And then I'm going to move on here, and I think I'm going to do some kind of little festive-y, let's see, festive-y kind of leaves. So I'm going to start with a leaf here, maybe one here. Look how pretty that looks. I don't know if you can see that on camera as well as in real life, but look how pretty that looks. It's so nice and shimmery, and it really stands out on top of the blue. I quite enjoy it. And you'll see if you've watched any other ones of my videos, you'll know that I'm usually more of kind of a coral, gray, yellow, deep green kind of artist. Those are kind of my happy places. But sometimes it's kind of nice to look at something a little bit new. And that's what I'm doing with these color combos today. But I actually quite like them. So I think what I'll do is make my stem now. So I've just done kind of leaf shapes here, and then I'm going to connect these like so, imagining a kind of a stem here, and I think I'll do one more leaf on the top. Sometimes it looks a little strange if you just have that kind of that strip on top with just your stem. And I'm going to dip back into my gold, kind of imagine where else I would want another little stem to live. Oh, actually I started with the stem for this one, but that's okay. So I'm going to do this like so. And then I'm going to add in my leaves. So maybe I'll add this leaf first. You can obviously take your time with this, but I will say, usually it all kind of turns out okay if you don't hesitate too much. So even if you're not used to painting these, try not to hesitate too much, because if you do, you end up usually getting kind of a wobbly leaf or stem, which still, you know, can still work, but it is easier if you can get some sort of kind of straighter line. So I think that looks pretty nice here. I'll maybe make one last leaf right here, like so. Look how pretty that looks. shimmering aspect is so nice. I think I really like that. So let's see. I'm gonna add in, and also as you're watching this, please leave me a comment down below and let me know. I would love to know what you think of this time of year, the kind of lead up to the holidays. Are you able to kind of actually relax and do all the things on your list? Or do you find it really stressful to actually do all those things? Or actually, are you able to maybe not do all the things on your list and just kind of enjoy the moment? Enjoying the moment is high on my actual to-do list. Something a little bit less concrete, maybe more aspirational. But I'm definitely trying to do that, because otherwise I find that this lovely time of year kind of passes you by, and sometimes you're just left with a lot of stress at the end of the period, which is not ideal. So I'm trying to take even the time today and share this video with you, and take the time to kind of appreciate the season, appreciate the moment in time that we're in. And let me see, I think I'll do another little leaf here, like a little leaf that might have lost its way a little bit, and one here, like so. There we are. And I think, let's see, where would I want to go from here? I think I might, let's see, I think I'm actually going to turn you around like this, turn the ornament around. And sometimes it's just easier to paint on the other side than trying to do that backwards. So I'll do two little leaves here. And the thinner the brush for these leaves, the better. I actually wish this brush had a bit of a point, which it doesn't, because it doesn't make it a little bit easier. Here we go. And I'll just do the stem going through, and I think what I might do, like so, I think what I might do afterwards is actually finish the hardware on top with a little bit of gold kind of thread, as if that gold thread was just going to be attached to the tree. So that looks pretty nice. And I think what I'll do is add in, let's see here, the last little stem right here. Like so. And then I will just attach these little leaves to my stem. And if you're able to paint this along with me, please save the video for later and try to paint along with me. These videos are kind of meant to do that. So if you are able to, please do get yourself a cup of coffee or tea. There we go. And paint along with me. I think that looks pretty nice. I like not filling the center too much. I think that looks nicer, and otherwise it kind of looks a bit too full. I think that looks really nice. So now I'm going to do that hardware piece I was telling you about. And that will just be a very simple kind of string at the top here. Let's see, make sure that I'm in the right spot to do this. Okay, and then I'll just do, that's it, just a tiny little piece of string. There we go. There, it looks like this. And I think that's it. I mean, you could obviously add, and I might do this later, but you could obviously add a message here. You could write, you know, Merry Christmas, you could write Happy Holidays, whatever messaging you would like, or you can leave it as so. I think it also looks really nice, but I did want to show you the method for how to do this. There you go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.